It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Read your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. I have one simple question for you, and if you can answer it, we'll move on to something more fun, but I need some help because the city of Los Angeles has a crisis with a very difficult road ahead of us. Where do we put all the RVs? The city council doesn't know where to put all the RVs. There's a lot of debate going on what to do with all the RVs, but considering there's more than 4,000 of them in this city, what do we do with them? Where do we put them? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. The city council did pass a measure after some infighting with Ulysses, and we'll get to that, that will start to identify places where we can put the RVs. Let's find out more about this, and then we'll play some sound from the LA City Council meeting last week. Here's KCAL.
Well, you've seen them. Recreational vehicles lining the streets in many LA neighborhoods. RVs that people call home. Many residents want them off their streets, and today the LA City Council voted to put restrictions on RVs in more neighborhoods. But as KCAL's Jasmine Veal reports, not everyone says this was the right call.
It was a Greyhound bus, a big giant one that was remodeled into, a motor home.
Whoa. That's a super RV.
Daniel Meza Rivera can't wait for all the RVs parked on his small Tarzana street to be gone.
It made me feel that, it was being trespassed upon.
You can hear just how noisy the generator is coming from the RV parked here you see behind me.
Doesn't the city of LA have noise pollution ordinances that we just don't enforce at all? That would be torture to live outside that generator all day long.
There's no proper hookups for the gray water, whatever wastewater.
His neighbors even made their own no RV parking signs.
Oh gosh, if you live next to a sewer grate, oh boy, ugly.
They also used other measures to get several of the RVs towed away recently.
And they finally said, they're going to do this street slurry, and they're going to tow vehicles if they're, here.
His neighborhood on Topham Street and Lindley Avenue is one of several areas the LA City Council voted Wednesday to restrict RVs from parking overnight between the hours of 2 and 6 a.m. This street in Canoga Park is also on the list for enforcement, where you can see cement blocks have been set up to prevent more RVs from parking here. Tow-away signs will be posted on some South LA streets and in West LA, where in January the council already voted to ban RVs from overnight parking in certain areas.
So they voted to find a whole bunch of streets that want to ban RV parking. And I love that. I think that's great. The overnight parking, the oversized parking ordinances, enforcing them is a whole other thing. But actually having streets where we say you can't be here, that is the first step. The problem is, and we discussed this a few weeks ago, there is not really a lot of places to tow the RVs. The police garages are full. They only have room for about 50 of them. And then when they have too many, they start auctioning them off for $50 because there's some state law that says if the vehicle's parts are worth more than $500, you can't scrap it. I would say first step is changing that law. Burn it. Crush it into a cube. Breaking Bad Season 3 style.
That's the main problem is where are they going to go? You're just going to put them into another district, which causes more problems and more chaos.
Ashley Sweeting says she was once homeless, living on this very Tarzana street, and hopes the city does more than just restrict the parking.
And the problem is the services aren't being offered to many people.
I think it's leading with the stick rather than the carrot.
Sam Lutzker, a UCLA PhD candidate studying housing for the homeless, says the city should be focusing first on creating more 24-hour RV safe parking sites.
There's literally no city sites that are volunteering this because you've heard this for a decade now. We're going to find city and county owned land where we can put up safe parking for the RVs. Nobody wants it because nobody wants the liability for what an environmental disaster these things become. Hence, the no hookups for the sewer.
Rather than uproot someone and create less trust.
We're really just kind of pushing people.
Funny thing is, most of the dwellers of these RVs don't even own them. They're renting them from some crooked van lord that bought them off a police auction for $50.
We're really just kind of pushing people around, which just creates a bigger problem at the end of the day.
The city council is asking the city administrative officer to report back on restricting RV encampments outside sensitive areas like parks, homes, and libraries, and to identify where they can park safely. Not a moment too soon for Mesa Rivera.
It just, it's basically not a trailer park.
In Tarzana, Jasmine, VLKKL News.
So here's my question to you at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. The police garages only have 50 spaces for these RVs. We've got 4,000 of them in the city of Los Angeles. Nobody seems to know in elected office where to put them. What do we do with the RVs? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Creative solutions are encouraged. 800-222-KABC. Let's go to Patrick in Norwalk. Patrick, hello.
Hey, Randy. How's it going today?
Doing great.
I just think we should drag them all out to Burning Man, roast them, toast them, and then bury them right there in the desert.
I think that's a fantastic idea. In fact, first you tow them all out to Burning Man, and then they can be used as, makeshift housing. Pretend that you're a homeless zombie on LSD at Burning Man, and then you throw it on the fire at the end and you burn them all to the ground.
Yeah, but I wouldn't even put a homeless LSD zombie into one of those things. They're all hazmat. It's really bad.
It really is. That's the thing. These things are so hazardous, we can't even clean them up sometimes because they're so dangerous. Thanks so much for the call, Patrick. Appreciate it. Well, there's one vote for bring them all out to Burning Man and burn them all down. How do we get rid of all the RVs? What do we do with 4,000 derelict RVs on the streets of Los Angeles? Nobody has a good answer in elected office, but maybe you do. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Rick in Lawndale. Rick, hello.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. First caller was great, but we know probably that can happen. Couple of things. One, I go to Vegas quite a bit. There's a lot of open, desolate land out there. Ship them all over there, create some kind of connection to the sewer systems between like Bakersfield or Barstow. The services are close enough if they have to go shopping and things like that. Stick them over there. If they are staying on streets, just like they do with electric cars, they're trying to tax them because they don't pay at the gas station anymore. They're trying to create these as homes and stay on city streets. Then they should have an assessment of property taxes. Once they start getting bills, they'll move away because there's no way they have a right to occupy some of these beautiful areas and beautiful streets that we pay hundreds, if not millions of dollars to stay there for.
Now, there's some sensible solutions, especially for the van lord crowd, the people that buy these RVs for $50, rent them out for $500 a month to the poor or the homeless. They should be charged business license fees, property taxes, and everything else that a brick and mortar owner would have to deal with this. A regular landlord has to go through hell to be able to rent apartments, but these crooked RV lending bastards can do whatever they want. We got to put a stop to that immediately.
Sounds great to me.
There we go, Rick. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. We got 4,000 RVs in the city of Los Angeles. The city wants to ban them, but we don't have any room in the police garage. So where do we tow them all? What do we do with all the RVs? Help me out here. 800-222-KABC. Let's go to John in Long Beach. John, hello.
Randy, how are you? I love your show, and I love your show with Johnny. First off, I just want to make a comment. Your salmon with the reduced balsamic vinegar, awesome, my friend.
Thank you. It is my favorite. We have it every week.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I live in Long Beach, all right? And they've started yesterday or last few days, they passed an ordinance, and they're starting to get rid of those. I don't know what they're doing with them. Half of them are non-operable, okay? And I agree with your other callers. Go find them a spot out in the middle of Kern County and go park them out there and let them have at it. Let them do what they want to do. You want to do all the meth, whatever you want, get away from people's residences. And if they want to keep them in the city, if they can't register them and insure them, then that's where they need to go. And also, if you go down Figueroa from around Florence, Slauson, that area, and go down towards the harbor area, there are so many of them along there, and along the 110 corridor there, just near Harbor City, cars sitting around in there. Half of them aren't even operable. And they've got like
so many of them are derelict.
Parking tickets on them.
Yeah, and we do parking ticket after parking ticket after parking ticket. We eliminated scofflaw laws, so we don't even tow them if you don't pay the parking ticket. And then when we finally tow them, we're like, oh, we don't have anywhere to tow it. Or there are situations where, because LADOT does the towing, where it's too unsafe to tow it because there's too much criminal activity near the RVs.
Well, and also in Long Beach, you could not sleep on the street or camp out. But a few years ago, when we had our wonderful mayor, Robert Garcia, who was just one of the keynote speakers at the DNC convention, incidentally, that my daughter was watching, they told, and I got friends that are in law enforcement, back off and don't do them. They can sleep wherever they want to sleep now. And not only what they were doing the other day was getting rid of the RVs, but if you were on city property on a sidewalk, you either moved your stuff or they had two big trash trucks and they were loading it into there. They need to do something because it's out of control. I had one parked in front of my business in North Long Beach for about 5 or 6 weeks. I kept calling and calling and calling the city. They did nothing. And when I finally called environmental health and told them they were letting their human waste drain out onto the street, they came out there and cleaned it up and towed it away. But that was the only way. They did anything about it.
That is a great idea. Let's get the EPA involved. John, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. And yes, another vote for bringing them out to the desert, which I know it's inhumane to take these people away from the communities they were born and raised in. Well, one, a lot of these people weren't born and raised in these communities. And two, living in a derelict RV in the desert on the run from the law, that's what Mojave was made for. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. We got 4,000 RVs in the city of Los Angeles that are sitting on the streets, housing the homeless. How do we get rid of them? What do we do with them? Because what we're doing right now, occasionally towing them when there's room at the police garage and then auctioning them back into the system, that ain't working. 800-222-KABC. Creative solutions encouraged here. 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. What do we do with the 4,000 RVs that are lining the streets of Los Angeles? The city council wants to ban them on certain streets, but we don't have anywhere to tow them. The police garages are full, and when they're full, they auction them back out into the system for $50. How do we fix this system? I got a whole bunch of people on hold for this. Real quickly, I'm going to take a quick diversion because Holden emailed me at randykabc@gmail.com over the weekend. He wanted to chime in on the Nathan Hochman topic on Thursday, but didn't get a chance to call in. Emailed, asked if he could call in. So we're going to let him speak, let him hear what he has to say, and then get right back to the RV calls. Holden in Roseville. Holden, hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're on the air.
Can you hear me? All right. Hello, Randy. How are you doing?
Doing great.
So with Nathan Hochman, and it's unfortunate, and I feel sick, and I had to call. I don't live in the area. I live in Roseville, but I had to call because I feel just so sick about the whole thing. Listen, this is not the first time this guy has jumped on the Harris Biden bandwagon. He has done it before. He actually came. So our county in Placer, during the COVID crisis, we actually were able to kind of ignore the law that Newsom put in place, and Hochman was going to try to force that back on us. And that and a couple other reasons is why I actually voted Bonta. And I voted Republican for every other race, but I voted Bonta on that one, and I don't regret it. So when Bonta and the Secretary of State allowed Trump to stay on the ballot, which was the right thing to do, this whole criminal thing's ridiculous. Nathan Hochman called it one of the saddest days in political history. What he said was disgusting. I don't even know how people didn't notice this. I feel the media did a horrible job at not covering this, and I really do.
Well, there you go. You said your piece. Holden, thank you so much for letting us know. Appreciate you calling in all the way from Roseville. All right, back to the RVs. We got to dump them where? Let's go to Randy in Oxnard. Randy, hello.
Hey, Randy. This is a great topic. Where do we begin? First of all, we have to enforce all of the overnight parking restrictions and oversized vehicle parking restrictions. We have to tow in cases where people are obviously flouting the law, but we don't tow to the police garage and let them sit there and then be re-auctioned to slumlords. Instead, they should go out to one of the car recycling yards and just be smashed into a big thing like Breaking Bad. Yeah, that was a great suggestion you made there. That needs to happen pretty immediately, and there needs to be teeth and regulations of the slumlords who are selling off these things to people who don't even own them, and it's completely unregulated.
Well, and it's so ridiculous that for some reason the law is they have to auction a vehicle if it's worth more than $500. But like you're saying, why don't we scrap it for the parts? You can sell or recycle the parts. Heck, I hear catalytic converters are going for a lot of money. Put that money back into the city's coffers. Why are we even thinking about putting these things back out on the streets when none of them are even operable?
Yeah, that's 90% of the time they can't even legally drive the streets. So how are they even getting there is another question you might ask yourself.
That's a very good point. Randy, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. Randy's, they always have really good points. Something about that name. Let's go to Matt in Covina. Matt, hello.
Hi. Hi, this is Matt.
Matt, I think you got to click your seatbelt.
Oh, okay. Me and my brother talk about this all the time. And they got to take them all out to a place and get all the cities involved together. Because right now, each city is doing their own independent thing. They all got to group together and find a place. And a military base would be the best, something like that that's got facilities. You park them out there. We'd all like to have our motorhome parked at the beach, but none of us can afford it. So why should they get to do it? And get them all out there, and if these dilapidated ones, you just junk all those, and you give them like a FEMA trailer or something. And you got to get the private industry really involved. Get them all to put their money where their mouth is. The government can't do it. They'll just mess it up. You have to get private industry involved, and you make a whole city for them. And you get it all started, and then give them help. You got hospital. You got everything, stores, everything they need there. And eventually when they get better, they can come back. But if you don't want to get better, but it's got to be this little chicken stuff ain't going to work. You got to do it at a big
Matt, Adam, make sure you dump that. Really, really appreciate the passion out of Matt and Covina. Adam, you dumped that, right? Hopefully he did. He did. Okay. It's the one problem with working remotely is I don't have the dump button here. But I really appreciate the passion. I understand where he's coming from. And yes, I love the idea of getting everyone out to a big RV city in the desert. I just watched that new Mad Max movie. It'll look exactly like that. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. What do we do with the 4,000 RVs that are sitting in the city of Los Angeles? If you expand it to the county, there's even more. Where do we put them? The police garages are full, and when they're full, they auction them back out on the street. This doesn't make any sense. Maybe you have a plan that does. 800-222-KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222, and your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. There are over 4,000 RVs lining the streets of Los Angeles, most of them derelict, not drivable, housing the poor and the homeless. Where do we put them all? Because the LAPD tow yards are full, and when they're full, they just auction these things back out on the street for reasons. Let's go right back to the phones. Rich in Santa Clarita. Rich, hello.
Hey, Randy. Hey, hear me out on this one. There is an opportunity cost, but this plan is incredibly simple and doesn't break any laws. You have the city contract as their agent to basically buy these decrepit, non-working RVs for pennies on the dollar. They can either do them individually or as buy.
Did we lose you? I think we lost Rich. Thanks so much for the call, Rich. Appreciate it. Yeah, here's the thing. Monica Rodriguez, of all people at the LA City Council, has had a program like this for quite some time. And what that program does is pays people to willingly get out of the RV. Then the city owns the RV. Then because it wasn't a tow, it wasn't a seizure, the city can legally crush it into a cube. I also think we should have a YouTube channel that is live streaming crushing the RVs into a cube, because I would watch that all day. That is some satisfying ASMR. Let's go back to the phones and go to Michael in Corona. Michael, hello.
Hi, Randy.
Hey.
Hey, all right, so real quick, this is actually quite simple. I love the ideas that everyone else has had, but I'm going to add a little twist to it. In the middle of the night, like the Democrats used to do, round up 10%, 15%, 40, 60 of these cars or RVs and park them a block on either side of every single council member's house. Not right in front, but on, let's say, every other block or something like that. And then when they get rid of them, get the other 10%, and basically they'll get the message eventually. And I don't understand what that guy was talking about. What did Hotman say? The guy from Roseville? I didn't quite understand it. But I think the whole thing about, like I said, what I suggested about put them in their neighborhood, and they'll get the message and hopefully do something about it.
I think it's a great idea. In front of the council offices, in front of the councilmen's homes, the neighbors will be furious, and you'll see some.
But on either block of them, because if you put them in their homes, in front of their homes, they're going to bitch and scream and moan and groan. I'm sorry, I said the B word. They're going to complain. So put them within a block or two on either side of their houses or offices, and eventually those bums will get in front of their house and cause a ruckus.
I like it. Thanks so much for the call, Michael. Appreciate it. Let's go to Court in Glendale. Court, hello.
Hello. It seems to me that we have a number of neighborhoods which are very affluent and filled with liberal-thinking people who are very much concerned with a poverty-stricken proletariat. So let's park the RVs in their neighborhoods. Now, you say they have 4,000? Well, really pack them in. And then you can also take those beautiful bike lanes and convert them to RV parking. Now, the only disadvantage is that I'm afraid if you do this enough, it might cause some of those liberals to change their voting patterns. And, dear me, I wouldn't want that.
Court, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. You know, it is fascinating. Venice used to be the epicenter for the RVs going back to 2010. And that was one of the deciding factors that got so much negative buzz for then Councilman Mike Bonin that he was nearly about to face a recall, realized he could not win re-election, and now we have Tracy Park, who is probably the strongest member on the city council for wanting to do something about the RVs. Not that, they're the same party, but there are very different perspectives in one political party. Let's go to Frank in Orange County. Frank, hello.
Hey, Randy, really quick on this. I like the idea that all these other people they've been putting forward, but it's a really simple transaction. Once the city or the law enforcement agency takes possession of the RV, they need to immediately convert the title to salvage only, which means the vehicle can no longer be operated on the roads, streets of California. And then if they're really smart, they incentivize the salvage yards to come and pick these things up. So the salvage yards, you may have to spend some money. You may have to do a contract with a salvage company or a salvage yard. But believe me, the salvage yards know what they're doing. They can go in and make a decision. And if it has a salvage only title, you cannot operate that vehicle on the streets with a salvage title. So they need to make it a salvage-only title, and then they need to contract with only salvage yards to deal with these vehicles and either strip them or crush them, or both. So whatever they need to do, they need to spend some money. Yeah, salvage-only title.
We gotta do exactly what you're saying. I think it's a great idea, Frank. Thanks so much for the call. And not only is that the right move, getting them to the salvage yard, stripping them for the parks and crushing them into cubes. I want the live YouTube feed. But not only that, I would imagine if you change the title to salvage, that immediately reduces the value of said vehicle. So it will be under $500 and we don't have to go through this auction BS. Thanks so much for the call. Coming up with some great ideas here. As they like to say, now we're cooking with gas. Neil in LA. Neil, hello.
Randy?
Hey.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Hey, I have a simple idea. We have a big ocean and we need some artificial reefs out there.
That is an idea. Now, can we clean the RVs from all the fecal matter before we put them in our beautiful ocean?
I'm a big picture guy. I can't get into that.
Neil, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. We don't need to get down in the nitty gritty here, but we've got some great ideas here. We're going to keep taking them at 800-222-KABC. What do we do with the 4,000 RVs lining the streets of LA? Lots of great ideas coming out here. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Let's get back to the phones and go to Meredith in LA. Meredith, hello.
Hi, thank you. My comment is how to get these things off the road, because a year ago, my councilman, Nithya Raman, had a meeting in our community, and the excuse was they don't have the proper tow trucks to take these huge Winnebagos and all of that littering our streets and ruining our neighborhoods. It's a tow truck problem.
Well, I understand that, and I know that LADOT has a lack of tow trucks that can do this, but then don't you call AAA?
Yeah, right?
It's $50 a year. They'll tow you wherever you need to go, 12 miles free.
Yeah, so smart. That was the government excuse for ruining our quality of life. Tow trucks that aren't big enough.
Yeah, Nithya can do a little better than, we don't have enough tow trucks. Figure it out. Meredith, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Hey, look at this. 790 KABC welcomes Bonnie Raitt to the Pacific Amphitheater on September 14th. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. But right now, call in number 9 at 1-888-790-5222. Gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by the Pacific Amphitheater. Good luck dialing. We'll go to David, Sylvester, and you when we come back. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. Let's get back to the phones and go to David in Lakewood. David, hello.
Hey, Randy, this is David from Lakewood. Oh, you just said that? I got the perfect answer for all 4,000 RV and their inhabitants. There's a place down by Salton Sea called Slab City. It's a lawless area. Well, they basically, watch out for each, they do their own laws down there. But there are hundreds and hundreds of old dead RVs with druggies and psychos living out there. And it's in the desert, not bothering anyone. And they've been out there for many years, I think for a couple decades now. And we can take all these RVs with their inhabitants and take them all out there and be done with it. So that's my answer. If anyone doesn't know about it, it's called Slab City. It's an old World War II Navy, a Marine training base out there that was abandoned. There's a bunch of slabs out there is how it got started. But now they're just all over the place, miles of them out there in the desert. But anyway, I'll let you get on to other callers, but just had to throw that out there. If we don't want to take them out to Imperial County, then we could do something out in like Lancaster, out in the desert out there. I'm all for that. So thank you, Randy. Appreciate your work.
Thanks so much for the call, David. Appreciate it. I'm looking up Slab City. It's like our own Deadwood out here. But yeah, it's right on the southeast corner of California. And there's nothing out there but people with RVs. I think this is a great idea. It's known as Squatter's Paradise. It's one of the only free places to live. You could do whatever you want out there. I think this is a great idea, and the cost to tow all the RVs to Slab City will be a drop in the bucket to whatever we're doing now. Let's go to Sylvester in LA. Sylvester, hello.
Yeah, hi. Thanks a lot. So what we have to do is Karen Bass is totally worthless and useless, and all she cares about is being reelected and not hurting anyone's feelings. She's totally ineffective. We should put Tracy Park in charge of this, and I guarantee you she figures it out. She'll listen to people. She has a different perspective. She's not a professional politician. She just wants to get it done, and she can. I know she can. And the guy about Slab City, it sounds good. So there's other places like that also. But Tracy Park, if we put her in charge and she doesn't have to, she can just do what she knows is the best thing to do, she can do it.
Right now, Tracy Park is doing everything she can. She is so laser focused on this issue, but the laws that we have make no sense. Like it takes forever to actually tow these things. Then when you tow them, you have to put them, you have to put a lien on them because it's a seized vehicle, and then you auction it off. That makes no sense for a derelict vehicle that's not even drivable. And the thing is, she can do a lot. She can do a lot, and she can get the word out there. But until we get enough voices on the city council like her to change those laws, it's going to be a big, big battle.
Well, we have to change the lien sale law. It has to be like an emergency change of the law, because right now, if you were to take that car and take it and cut it up, the person you took it from would have a big lawsuit against whoever did it, because the laws it takes a long time to go through the lien sale process. So we have to start there.
You're totally right. Sylvester, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. And if there's anybody that can figure this out, it's Tracy Park. One more call here. Let's go to Gary in LA. Gary, hello.
Hey, Randy, how you doing? Good to talk to you. In any case, I was going to tell you about 6 years ago, the homeless and people that have to deal with this they fight with each other all the time, and they'll light their motorhomes on fire. So one guy lit the other guys on fire. So the tow company came out to pump the septic tank as they were going to tow it away, and they had a big thud in the tank, and they reverse pumped it, and it ended up being a hand grenade that had to be dealt with.
Holy cow!
Yeah. And on the Slab City, I've been out there before. You can camp like about 10 miles from there and drive down and visit it. And you actually have visitors from all over the world that go to look at that the mountain that's made of all the paint up there. You'll see it all when you look on the website. But I think it's an excellent idea to get rid of the motorhome folks that want to be on their own and live down there in Imperial County.
We've got your own section. There's miles and miles and miles of freedom. You could do whatever you want. I think it's such a great idea. Gary, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. If you'd like to email us, you could do so at at randykabc@gmail.com. Got my shows confused. AJ says, tow them and advertise the sale of these RVs for $50 out of state so they can be taken out of California. I have a feeling Arizona and Nevada won't take too kindly to that. But hey, we get some real great creative solutions from the best audience in talk radio. You know, I prepared 18 cuts of sound for this story, and I didn't get to any of them. That's how great y'all are. Appreciate all the calls. See you tomorrow for another News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC.